Today we're going to create a 2D catch game in Scratch, and we're going to be using our microbit as our controller. So let's jump into Scratch. We have a blank project set up and we're going to create a 2D catch game with the jungle theme. So the first thing we want to do is change our backdrop. And to do this, I'm going to press onto the little purple button on the bottom right for choose a new backdrop. I'm going to then do a search for jungle and select that as my backdrop. As this is a jungle theme, I don't want to have the scratch cat as my main character, so I'm going to delete that by selecting it and clicking the little dustbin. I'm then going to press the other purple button on the bottom right. This one is for choosing a sprite. I'm then going to search for a monkey and select it to be my main character. As you can see on the top right, the monkey is very big on the screen, so I'm going to change the size from 100% to 60 and press enter. And for the direction, I'm happy with it being 90 degrees, but I'm going to click into it and I'm going to change one setting, which you will see in a second. The setting I'm going to change is the rotate to left and right. So I'm going to click left and right. This will then lock your character so that they can only ever face left or right instead of rotating in a 360-degree circle. Now that we have our character the right size, they can only move left and right. I'm then going to position them where I want for my game, which is down along the bottom of the screen. And I'm doing this by just clicking and dragging the character to their spawn location. Now I need to code the monkey so that when I press A on my microbit or B, it will move the character left and right. So back to Scratch, and to do this I'm going to go to my microbit tab on the left hand side, and I'm going to bring in when the A button is pressed for controlling the left. I'm going to zoom in so you can see the code, as it is a bit far out at the moment. And what we need to do next is basically get our character to, first of all, point in the correct direction and then move the required number of steps we want them to move. So to do this, we go to motion and we bring in point in direction 90. And because we want them to point left when button A is pressed, I'm going to change the 90 to -90. Then I'm going to bring in my move number of steps block and connect it in underneath. It is important to make sure that those blocks are connected and they are in the correct order. For the move, I want to change it from 10 steps to 20. This will allow the monkey to move further to the left when button A is pressed. Now that we have the left movement created, we can test this out. So if I pick up my microbit and press my A button, what you'll see on the Scratch screen, anytime I press A, the monkey moves further to the left. Next, what we will do is we will give a bit of feedback on the microbit, because at the moment it looks blank whenever I'm pressing A. What I would like to happen is for a directional arrow to appear when button A is pressed. So I'm going to go back on Scratch to my microbit blocks, and you will see a block that shows the microbit, display and a heart. I'm going to bring this in and connect it in underneath my move 20 steps. I'm then going to press the down arrow and I'm going to create a left arrow by clicking on these lights or these blocks to turn off and on LEDs. Now, if I go back to my microbit, anytime I press A, it will display a left arrow. So now we have the left command, or the left controller working. We now need to program button B to work for right. So to do this, we will bring in another when A button's pressed, but notice it does have a down arrow. And when you click the wee down arrow, you can change it to button B. We're now going to bring in pretty much the same code as the one for left, but just change a few different options. So back to motion, and the first one we'll bring in is point direction. We can keep this as 90, as 90 will mean go right or face right. And then we bring in the move steps. We want the left and right to move the same amount of distance, so let's change that 10 to 20. And then we will also again want to provide some feedback on the microbit that you are moving right. So on the microbit tab, we will bring in the display, change it from a heart to a right arrow. Again, by clicking on each of the little boxes to turn off and on the lights, like so. So now if I jump back to my microbit, if I press the B button, we get a right arrow. If I press the A button, we get a left arrow. And as we jump back to the scratch screen, you will see on the top right of your game, as I press B, my character moves to the right. As I press A, my character moves to the left. As you can see on my screen, my microbit has lost connection to Scratch. It's as simple as clicking on to reconnect, looking for the device and pressing connect to reconnect. Now that we have our monkey coded so that they move left and right, the next step of the game is to bring in the object that we want our monkey to collect. So what I need to do on Scratch is create a new sprite, and for this sprite to be the item that we want our monkey to pick up. So jumping back to Scratch, I'm going to go down to the bottom right and press the purple circle for choose a sprite. And I'm going to select, I don't need to search for it, I'm going to select bananas as the item. So I'm going to click it and it will go into the game. This game that I'm trying to create will have the bananas scroll or starting at the top of the screen and scrolling down towards the monkey, and the monkey will then have to move left and right to basically be in the path of the bananas. So I need to set the bananas up to do this. This will be a computer controlled character, so this will need to work slightly different from the monkey, where the monkey is controlled by the microbit. The banana is going to be controlled by Scratch itself. So jumping back to Scratch, first of all I'm going to position my character and I'm going to drag them up towards the top. Next, I then need to bring in a way to control this character. And to do that, it's the control tab on the left, or the events tab on the left, and we bring in the when the green flag is clicked. This represents the game starting, which is a perfect place for the bananas to start to move. I want these bananas to basically move forever, so I need to then bring in a control block of forever. And I will click this in underneath the green flag. And what I then need to do is get the bananas to then move. So I will go to my motion blocks. And first of all, I'm going to have it that the bananas will always start at the top. So I'm going to set my Y coordinate to 250. This will ensure the banana always starts, as you can see it, at the top. And in order to add a bit of challenge to the game, I want my X coordinate to randomly assign somewhere on the screen, just so it doesn't become predictable that the banana will always spawn in the same position. So I'm going to bring in my set X coordinate and place it underneath my Y. I'm then going to use an operator, and the operator I want to use is pick random. And I'm going to place it inside of the set X, like so. I then just need to assign the coordinates that I want for the X, and I want them to basically go from the full left-hand side of the screen over to the full right-hand side of the screen. So this will mean minus 230 for one, and then positive 230 for the other. I can demo how this will work by pressing the green flag multiple times, and what you will notice is the banana will always start at the top of the screen, but it will appear at different random positions along the left and right hand side. And I will do this now by pressing the green flag a few times. Okay, and I'm going to press stop. So on to the next bit of code. What I would like the banana to do next is, instead of moving left and right, I want the banana to move downwards. And how I'm going to do that is I'm going to go to motion and tell the banana to glide for a number of seconds to an X and Y coordinate. And the X coordinate I don't want to change, so I'm going to have that set to whatever the computer randomly has assigned it. And to do that, I'm going to go to motion, scroll down towards the bottom, and you will see these options for an X position and a Y position. So I'm going to drag the X position and place it in on top of the white box for X. And then as I want my banana to move down towards the bottom, I would like my Y position to be set, and I want the Y position to be negative 250. So this will force the banana to move along the X-axis that has already been set, but towards the Y, which is the bottom of the screen. And to increase or decrease the difficulty of the game, you change the number of seconds this takes. I'm going to put this to 3 seconds. I'm then going to get my banana to wait. And the reason that I want it to wait is so that it doesn't appear to move incredibly fast. This will force it to stop for a split second at the bottom by changing that 1 to a 0.2 before it then respawns at the top and begins its descent down. So when I press the green flag now, I have a banana that spawns at the top. As soon as it gets to the bottom, it waits for a split second, then respawns at the top on a different X coordinate, and then begins its descent for 3 seconds down. So we've got the basis of our game. We have our character that we can move left and right, and we have our object that we want to pick up, constantly moving around the screen at different positions. Next, we need to introduce a score to the game, and this will provide the challenge for the game, for the player to try and get the highest score by collecting the most bananas. So to do this, we're going to click back onto our monkey on the bottom right, and what you will notice is the code will change from what's on the screen to the code that was programmed for the monkey. And we then need to introduce a score, and a score is again something that the computer will control. So we're going to bring in the event for the green flag. And what we want the green flag to basically do is we want it to help the monkey listen for it touching the banana. So we want this to happen forever throughout the game. So I'm going to bring in a control block for forever, and we then need to set up an if statement. We want this to forever test if our monkey is touching the bananas. So I'm going to bring in if and connect it inside of the forever. And And I'm going to move this block over to here just so we've got a bit more space. And what I would like then to do is the monkey to sense when it touches the banana. So we're going to go to our sensing blocks, and you will see the first option there is touching mouse pointer, but it does have a down arrow, so I'm going to bring that in and connect it inside the hexagon on the F. Change the drop down to the banana. So now we have a block of code that whenever the game starts, the monkey will forever listen for if it touches the banana. So next we need to code what will happen when it touches the banana. So what I would like it to do is I would like it to broadcast that it has indeed touched the banana. So if I go to my events, as that is an event that would happen, I want it to broadcast a message, and I want the message to be message 1. I then would like to set up a system that whenever it receives this broadcast, it then adds 1 to our score. But before we do that, we need to set up a way to record our score. And how we're going to do that is through the option called variables. So if we click into variables, we will then create one. So I'm going to make a variable. Let's call it score. And I'm going to click on to OK. Now we have, you can see on the screen, an option for score. This is a number that is at the default set to 0, but what I want to happen is anytime the monkey touches a banana, I want my score to increase by 1. So how we control that is through our broadcast as well. So I'm going to go to my events, and this time I'm going to bring in the block that says when I receive message 1. All I would like it to do is to increase my score by 1. So I'm going to go back to my variables, bring in change my variable by 1, and connect it up underneath whenever you receive your message. As we called our variable score, I need to change the drop down from my variable to score. Now we have code for our monkey that whenever the green flag is clicked, it will forever listen for it touching the banana. Whenever it touches the banana, it's going to broadcast message 1. We also have the monkey then listening for message 1 being broadcast. When message 1 is broadcast, it's then going to add 1 to our score. I would also like this game to be set up in a way that anytime someone new comes to play the game, they would press the green flag for it to start. So I would like my score to be reset back to 0. So I'm going to bring in an event for when the green flag is clicked. And what I would like it to do is I want it to set my score to 0. So now anytime I click the green flag, my score will be reset to 0 because I'm starting a new game. The monkey will listen for when it touches the banana, and when it does touch the banana, it will broadcast this thing called a message, and then it will listen for the message being broadcast. When it sees that it has been broadcast, it will add 1 to our score. So when I click back onto Scratch, when I click the green flag this time, what should happen is my monkey, when it comes in contact with a banana, it will increase the score by 1. Next, what I would like to do is provide some feedback on my microbit. And the feedback that I want to happen on my microbit is a smiley face to appear whenever the characters touch the banana. So to do this, I'm going to go to microbit, I'm going to bring in the display heart, and this will happen when the monkey senses that it touches the banana, and after it broadcasts the message. I wanted to display a smiley face instead of a heart. So I'm going to create a smiley face using the LEDs. And if we now jump back to the microbit, we do indeed get a smiley face on our device. This is the basis for a very simple 2D catching game on Scratch. There's lots of other tweaks that we can make to this, but that is all we have time for today. Thank you for watching.